Today is a historic day for the sport of basketball and for the state of Western Australia.
That's ridiculous! Westcott at his very, very best!
We are unleashing a new, powerful movement in basketball where the whole sport comes together under Hoops Fest, the first ever time this has been held.
Welcome back to the Gold Standard. This is our look at the Australian Boomers, the Opals, South Sudan and everything happening in Paris. And we come with good news this morning, and that is that Australia have started their campaign on a winning note. 92-80 first up over Spain. A lot to talk about in today's episode. I'm Jack Heverin, Andrew Bogut and Brad Newley alongside me early on a Sunday morning. And we start with a win, gentlemen.
Yeah, good to start with a win. Just a start from the Boomers. I felt like we just came out of the gates really, really good offensively in the first quarter, really good defensively. Probably thought we should have had more of a lead. If there was one thing to nitpick, that we played so well in that first quarter, I felt like we should have been up 15 plus to not give Spain a chance to reel it back. But numerous runs by Spain, we didn't get too flustered, regathered ourselves, got back to a lead, and most importantly, finished the game strong. That if it does come down a percentage, and for some reason we do end up third, that those last two shots at the end of the game were hugely important, even though we already had the game sewn up. So great win for the Boomers, and on to the next.
Yeah, I think like at one stage I texted you guys, we were on track for about 120 points. The pace was phenomenal. Just our physicality was so impressive, and a great way to open a campaign. Like I look back at some of our experience, like going through, we really struggled in first games, and to come out on the front foot and just finish off the way that it was fantastic. And I think our physicality was just too much for the Spanish to handle. And like shout out to a lot of guys, their first Olympics coming in and having an impact straight away. It was a huge moment for us. And on to Canada.
We spoke a lot on the Friday preview show about how important it was to win the first game. And if Australia didn't win first up, that it was going to be a challenge from here. So then you fast forward a little bit to the first 6-7 minutes of the game and how quickly we got out of the blocks. Yeah,
I mean, the offense looked great. I mean, it helps. I think we shot 12 for 24 from three for the game. Now, can we continue? If we continue to shoot around those clips, 40% range, we've got a chance to do something special. That's the thing that unlocks everything for us. I mean, Josh Giddey comes out and bangs a couple of threes early, which then opens up his whole game completely. When he knocks down threes, he's very, very much unguardable. It's very, very hard. Paddy comes out, opens, gets fouled. It's always nice to get fouled on a 3-point shot to open up your scoring account and get 3 free throws. So everything was going our way, but defensively as well. We just the job Dyson Daniels did in that game, Josh Green as well, but Dyson Daniels, I mean, just picking up full court, just an absolute nuisance for the Spanish. I mean, their point guards, you could see it when they were getting the ball inbounded to them. They did not want to bring the ball up. They were asking for screens at 3/4 court. They were trying to get off the ball. Brown turned it over a few times. I mean, they did.
Diaz couldn't even get it over.
A lot of good things, yeah. I mean, and I think our defense, once again, as we said, leading into this, I thought our defense is probably going to be our staple.
So is that our calling card, do you think, Newells, the defensive side of the game? I mean, we'll talk offensively in a moment, but I agree with everything Bogues just said. That was outstanding last night.
Yeah, I think so. Like the point guard's the head of the snake, right? So if you can make it difficult for them to get the ball into play, then we're in an advantage. The next game, you got Gilgeous Alexander, who is a little bit, he's just another level above these guys. So that'll be a challenge for us. But Dyson and Josh, they play against those guys every night in the NBA. So they've got experience, and that's just we're so lucky to have so many players now in the NBA play at that level, that a game like that is nothing for them, and they'll come out, and I'm sure they'll play the same way, and Gorge will have them playing the same way. I love Jock down on the offensive end. He's rolling to the basket, just creates so many issues. I remember during camp I mentioned to Bogues and Gibbo, just watching him in the 5-on-5, the way he just rolls and creates so many shots for others, it's awesome. And then he can finish himself. So whenever we need a basket, we're not just jacking from outside. We can get some nice interior touches, and he did such a great job of that.
Just touching on Jock, I think they need to make a big effort of getting him involved early. I think he's a different player for this team. When you can get him touches early, he's not always going to shoot it. He's very, very smart with his playmaking ability, his handoffs, makes the right decisions. He made a lot of good decisions in the short roll, meaning that, he sets a ball screen, rolls to about the free throw line, they throw it to him, and he's thrown out to shooters. But I feel like when he's super involved in the offense, it unlocks everything else for him. So he got going early, got a couple of easy dunks, got a couple of tip-ins, and then unlocked everything else. I mean, he's a plus 30 for the game, plus minus. I know plus minus can be debatable between people, but I think when you play mass minutes, it can be a valuable stat. And by far, when he was on the court, they were dominating.
Well, I can vouch for that, Jack, mate. I can vouch for that, Jack, playing with Bogues, man. You got to give the big fellas an inside touch, otherwise you lose them early. They're the ones out there screening for you. You got to give them some service, man.
Was he our MVP from game one?
I'd think so. I think him and Giddy was pretty good too. But you look at the overall, like his matchup, he was dealing with a pretty big guy with Hernan Gomez, took him out of the game. I think Magnay probably deserved a little shout out too. Like he was out there, he was using his body, getting fouls, being physical, and he ended up wearing him down as well. So I think Jock for me was my MVP, and
I'd go Jock and Josh were the two carriers. I mean, Paddy scored for us, but all the playmaking, I just want Josh and Paddy just turn down the turnovers a little bit. And, you talk to Josh and he'd probably say the same thing, 8 assists on 5 turnovers, Paddy with 5 turnovers himself. That can be a little swingy if we get in these tighter games against Canada and Greece. But those three guys were our best. Jock by far, in my opinion, just changed the game. Even when we had some stalls offensively, he got a couple of huge offensive rebound tip-ins. And I think he was pretty solid at the defensive end. Got the ball on the block a couple of times when he needed a score, and did a fantastic job that way. So it just shows, he was the guy that wasn't part of this squad in 23, and it was the gaping hole we had. I think he just calms us down a lot, settles us down, gets us easy baskets, and plays the right way.
There's no doubt, since we started this show, when you read some of the comments from all of our fans, and a big thanks to everyone for watching and listening to the show and leaving your thoughts, there's no doubt that the Mills-Giddy combination has been spoken about more amongst fans than just about anything else in this Australian team, except maybe one player who didn't make it. Based off what we saw last night, and the turnovers is a good point, Bogues, how do we see the Giddy-Mills combination working?
Well, the start was good for the game. So when Josh comes out and knocks down 2 threes early, Paddy comes down, gets fouled, knocks another 3 down. That kind of alleviates a lot of that stress of those two playing together. I still think they split a lot of their minutes for the most part. I mean, I think they played probably 15. If I'm guessing just by eye test, they probably played 15 to 20 probably together, and the rest was split. But yeah, it worked. It worked, and I think it works when you've got someone like Dyson Daniels out there with you, Josh Green. You got really good defenders. Josh doing his thing. Nick Kay started off poorly, but came back and made some really clutch buckets for them late. I mean, that up and underplay that he somehow made.
Nice.
made a like a 12-foot one-hand push floater from the left block. So at crucial times, he made some big shots. So look, it's a work in progress. This is their second tournament together as far as Gideon Mills goes and playing together, and they know about the commentary around this, and it wasn't great in 23, and I think they've worked towards it. But if we're shooting the 3 ball at 12 for 24, like, I'm not too concerned about that lineup. It's more when we go dry from 3 and you have Josh and Dyson out there with the Paddy. Is that going to work?
It's where those interior touches are important. I think that's where something they got to play through Jock when we're not hitting from the outside. And they need to recognise that early if that's going to be an issue against Canada.
And Jock's our only inside threat, on the block, really. We did actually go...
They did put Giddy... Yeah, sorry, he go.
Yeah, I've been pushing for trying to get Giddy on the block for the last 2 years, 18 months, because I think his playmaking ability, especially in 23 when we got caught running high pick and rolls and getting caught at half court a lot and not really breaking the free throw line for stretches in 2023 World Cup. I think at times if you can just get Josh down there on the block, and we actually did it last night, and you saw his playmaking ability from there, and then he's already close to the basket. So I like that little adjustment for Gordon. I'm glad that they've finally figured that one out.
It was a nice feed to Paddy. Yeah. Really nice.
Newells, talk to us about Jack McVeigh, another on debut, 13 points, 3 of 6 from outside. There are a couple of fouls that I'm sure he probably would have liked to have had back at some important stages. But first up, I mean, this man has no fear.
Man, he should go and buy a Powerball ticket, man. Like everything is working for this guy. But he came out a little shaky, but that's what he's in there to do. He got out there, missed a couple shots early, but hit a massive one down the stretch. He'd probably regret fouling the 3-point shooter, but that'll come with experience. His matchup, Santi, he has had a hell of a game himself. So yeah, good on Jack, man, stepping in there first game in the green and gold and first sub. So who would have thought that, 6 months ago? And yeah, good on him, big ups to him, and hopefully he can keep carrying that on. And he adds a little bit more than just his shooting. He keeps the ball alive on offense. He's an energizer bunny. You see him when he scores, he's up in the press a little bit showing. And, real happy for a young Aussie to come in and hit shots and represent the Australian team with every bit of passion he has.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. I think, look, he had a 3-minute stretch there that wasn't great, where I think he fouled a 3-point shooter twice. So just clean that up. I think cleaning up some of the fouling. But what I'll give
that's going to happen. Yeah.
He battles. He battles. So these aren't fouls from lack of trying or anything like that. And his defense, people question at times, but what I like about it, he's going to try. He's going to battle, and he made 2 big threes. He made, I think it was one in the first half when they were making a run. He hit a straight line 3, and then he hit the other one from the wing. And they were just big shots to really change the momentum of the game. I mean, your first Olympic Games, you come in and you have 13-7. It's a pretty impressive performance, and he kind of countered Nick Kay's foul trouble early in the first half, and Nick Kay didn't really have an impact on the game. And you bring in someone like, and I think not many people, Spain probably the same, wouldn't really know.
He wouldn't be on the scout.
A lot of these Euro teams wouldn't know a lot about Jack McVeigh, and that plays in their hand. And the way he plays, he's kind of unorthodox, helter-skelter, all over the place at times, energy, up and unders, and just does some strange stuff. For the Euros, it's a little frustrating, and he's on the scouting report, so I think that's playing into his hands. I think the next game, Greece will probably be a little bit more prepared for him.
So we spoke about this on Friday, that we were favourites coming into this game with all of the different agencies and all that sort of stuff, and you both said that you thought that Australia would win first up. Did you think we'd win by 12?
I just always felt our physicality was going to be too much for them, and there was always going to be a moment where they start throwing their arms around. You saw that they got back into the game a little bit with a bit of their trickery and those kind of things. But I was always pretty confident we were going to win. I think I said, Tex, we're going to win by 20 early on. But yeah, the guys really handled that first game pressure really well, and that's what impressed me. And I think that was always going to be the thing that would have prevented us from a big win. And getting up by 12 at one stage, we were down 1 in the third quarter, I think, and to hold our nerve and come out and get up by that was awesome. But yeah, if you were to say to win by 12, I probably would have taken that. Yeah,
it's just so hard in FIBA ball to have blowout wins. Generally, teams are always going to grind it back, and percentage and differential is so important. So teams are always focused on, hey, if we're down 18, let's get it down to 10 and just lose by 10. So that they're not. This isn't the pro game, the NBL game, or the NBA game where you put the cue in the rack sometimes, just get your bench on and just be healthy for the next game. You got to stay on the score. So I'll take that. 12-point win against Spain. Like I said, they're always a dangerous team. Most people have them fourth in the group, which is weird to say, but it's looking like it's going to play out that way unless they shock the world and come out and somehow beat Greece and Canada. But I think a very, very good performance first up. And just looking at the other scores across the board, you look at France, Brazil, 12-point differential. You look at Germany, Japan, 20-point differential. So, it's a very important, like I said, that last 40 seconds could make or break our tournament if we happen to fall into third place.
Yeah, none of those other games, they were all in blowout potential, but it didn't happen for any of those games.
Yeah.
We didn't see Duop Reath. Do we think that's a sign of things to come?
I was talking to someone the other day, about why isn't this person playing or something like that. Well, the team's winning, so I can't. Something would have to happen for him to come in, obviously, or maybe a matchup. I'm not sure what they've got up their sleeve, but like I said, until there's a drastic change or we're getting beat, I can't see him taking any of those minutes away from Magno.
Yeah, there's always a scuttlebutt every tournament, especially online, and this seems to be the one that's taken off. It's like, we're questioning why he's not playing, and he's more of a pick and pop 5-man. He's not rolling is not his strength. His strength is pick and pop and shooting really well from the 3-point line. Jock and Magnay are really good rollers, and with the way we're running our offense, we don't really need a pop guy right now. I think that hurts him a little bit. And defensively, Magnay is probably ahead of Duop defensively, so I think they're looking more towards a defensive lineup of a guy. When you've got a Giddy, Mills, let's say McVeigh lineup, you probably don't need someone at the 5 that needs the ball, right? You've got enough scoring out there to facilitate itself. So, he's going to get an opportunity at some point, but, it'll be foul trouble or maybe matchup wise. But Jock's he played 27 minutes and 40 seconds. He's going to be around the 30-minute mark, 25 to 30-minute mark every night. So you've got 10 minutes left then to share between Magnay and Reith, and it's like, do you split them and then have them, I think Magnay probably, whoever gets those minutes gets a better rhythm by getting the whole chunk of 12 rather than saying, all right, we'll have 7 and then we'll give Duop 5 because we're handing out participation trophies. It's like Newell said, it's just the rotation, and Reith's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking him, but you can't play 11, 12 guys in Olympic games. You see Joe Ingles, and he comes in for 2 minutes, and that's just the way it is. Delhi comes in with Dante out, only plays 9 minutes. They've got their rotations, and we spoke about the rotations leading into this, fellas. So we spoke about what's it going to look like. I think we've kind of figured that out now. We've got our starting 5, plus Magnay, McVeigh, a little bit of Delhi and Joe split up, and then Josh Green. But the 8 is with Josh Green, McVeigh, and Magnay with our starting 5. That's what it's looking like right now. And it's like Newell said, if we would have lost by 15, then you have a different conversation. But we're winning games, and it's working.
When Dante gets sprinkled back in there, that could throw a bit of a spanner, I guess. But that depends how severe the injury is or where they see that. That could be the only thing that messes with rotations. And that's a risk too, because we could be rolling, and Gorge might be like, let's park it and roll with who's doing the job.
Well, let's look ahead now to Tuesday against Canada. We don't know about Dante. It's probably unlikely at this stage. It looks like that he'll be available. But, I mean, this is the game that you both said this from the moment that we started on this show, that this was the game. We had to win the first one, which we have, and now we look forward to Canada. This is a very, very good team that we're up against.
It is, and looking at the stat sheet, they didn't shoot it well from the field. They didn't shoot it well from 3. 8 for 26 from 3, 25 for 58 from the field, so 43%, 32%. They get to the free throw line. 32 free throw attempts against Greece. Wow. For what do they score? 86 points. So, and we look against Spain. We had some trouble with fouls. Even though, like Newell said, we were physical, and that's what you get. We always come out of camp super physical, and then getting the bonus in the first game early. It happened again against Spain when the bonus with 5 minutes left. I think against Canada, that'll kill you because SGA he draws fouls. So if you're in the bonus and then they're going to put the ball in his hands and he's going to walk you down to that free throw line area and try to get to his spots, and you're going to have an arm bar or reach, free throws the rest of the quarter. We cannot afford a foul early in that game against Canada. And RJ Barrett came out, had a fantastic night for them with 23 points. He was probably the best scorer they had, along with SGA. But I think they're beatable. I think they're playing ebbs and flows. I think they can front run a little bit, and they can get in their own head a little bit. And I think our physicality is what can probably win this game.
For sure. I mean, I think we need to be mindful of their length down on the defensive end. We talk a little bit about our turnover and those kind of things, and they'll capitalise. So we got to be very clean with the ball. And they did a pretty good job today of just clamping Giannis extra space, making them make that extra pass. So, yeah, how we are with the ball, how the way we move it is going to be super important in this game. And
with Olenek at the 5, it creates a bit of a different approach for Jock. It's going to pull him out of the paint. Spain had more bigs that were kind of playing more around the basket. Herman Gomez and the big brawler there that was backing up. What's his name?
Garuba.
I was trying to fight everyone in the first minute.
Yeah, he was grumpy, wasn't he?
He came out. He's only like 20 years old, that dude.
Yeah, I know, but no one's Spain usually would beat you with their IQ and their skill. No one's buying that you're going to beat us up when you play for Spain. So settle down, mate. But yeah, I mean, the bigs. Olenek didn't play a whole lot. He played 30 minutes in the first game, but that'll be a matchup that takes Jock away from the basket, stretches him out, and then we're going to have some gang rebounding and get guards in there, Paddy, Josh, these guys to go in there and steal some rebounds. But they don't really have a big that can match up with Jock at the other end. Dwight Powell, who I played with in Dallas, energy guy, athlete, roller, kind of solid defensively. And Olenek not known as a great defender, so they don't really have a whole lot there. And I'm looking at Jock to have another night. If his activity is like it was in Spain, offensive rebounds, rolls, all that kind of stuff, he could potentially have another big night.
Is he the most important player for this game?
One of, yes, I think he is. I think, in my opinion, the most important player is going to be Dyson Daniels because he's going to get SGA.
Yeah, he'll get that.
So I think if he slows down SGA, they do like to have SGA bringing the ball up. So just wearing him down, turning him in the backcourt, trying to get his legs for later on in the game. Well, I hope Dyson Daniels starts on him. I'm looking at it right now. They'll probably have Paddy on Murray most likely, and then Giddy on the alternate guard. But yeah, I think that whoever's guarding SGA is going to be the most valuable player outside of stats. And we're not looking at stats. I'm looking at strictly game flow and trying to disrupt Canada. We got to keep SGA to, if he gets his 20, but he only shoots 3 or 4 free throws, I'm happy with it because it'll probably be at a 40% clip. If he gets 25 with 10, 15 free throws, we're in some trouble.
That game Tuesday night. Can't wait for it. It's a huge one for Australia, but we take some fantastic form into that game. We will be back on Wednesday morning to talk about what happened in Game 2 of the Paris Olympics. Shout out to the Opals as well, who start their campaign on Monday night, 7 p.m. against Nigeria. And for all of the good stories that we get in an Olympic campaign, unfortunately, from time to time, we get some horrible ones as well. And Beck Allen's the horrible story from an Opals perspective. Injured for the World Cup. A hamstring on the eve of Paris. We all know Beck. We all love Beck. And our heart breaks for her right now.
Yeah, tough thing to happen for her. Like I got to see her a little bit down here. She works out at Hoop City with a few of the other girls and was out there, getting ready and before a WNBA season where she was having a great run as well. It's just one of those things. Hopefully, the replacement comes in, but yeah, good luck to the girls. They had a pretty good build up. Good to see LJ run around out there making me and Bogues look like chumps because we retired at 39. But good luck to the Opals and hope they have a big one versus Nigeria.
Yeah, good luck to them. Yeah, you hate to see the injury happen so late. You never want to get injured, but if you do, you'd rather just be injured and not go to camp. Yeah. I think when you're part of the whole preparation, it's kind of like Dante as well. He's not out for the tournament, but you're there the whole way. You're in the trenches, feeling good about yourself, and then a couple of days out, you get the ripcord pulled. It sucks, but I think they'll bounce back. They're a tough, resilient group, and I'm looking forward to hopefully their medaling as well.
Bogues, Newells, thanks for getting up early on a Sunday morning. Great to chat to both of you, and we had a lot of positives to take away from that first game. So we'll do it all in a couple of days' time.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for being with us on The Gold Standard. Of course, nbl.com.au is where you need to head. Get all of your latest Boomers and Opals news and information. And, of course, South Sudan as well. Paris is underway. We'll see you in a couple of days' time.